Welcome along to another Music at Maddens with me, Lynette Fay. This is a podcast recorded in the snug upstairs in Maddens Bar in Belfast, widely recognised as the home of traditional music in this city. And the whole idea of this podcast is to platform musicians from all over and celebrate our wonderful traditional music community. And you can watch on YouTube as well as listen on Spotify and Apple. That's probably what you're doing if you're hearing me talking right now. And you can leave a review as well. And please do subscribe and make sure that you don't miss any of the episodes that are coming up, and catch up on anything you might have missed as well. This week now, it's very cosy in the snug. There's four of us in here. We've got Dylan Carlos and Cian Sweeney and John McCartin here. Now, their music has been described as uncompromising. I tell you, these boys just get straight to it. Debut album was an instant hit, and as was the follow-up, which is one of my favourite album titles ever, the one after it. And I want to know who came up with that and how. But both albums best-selling worldwide on Bandcamp, and have created a really, really loyal following for you as well as a trio. And it's great to chat to you today. Thank you very much for taking the time. How's it going?
Great.
So well behaved, because we're just ahead of a gig here in the Empire, and you've just sound checked and you've come down here and then you're gigging shortly. So at this point of the day of a process, what's it like? Are the nerves kicking in ahead of the gig, or how are you feeling?
It's usually around the time that I have forgotten to write a set list, and we'll have to have a very quick conversation before throw in and get a few tunes together. But yeah, generally sound check, go for food, chat, relax. We probably wouldn't have met up in a couple of weeks, just run through the plan and then hit it hard from the start.
3-point quote, isn't it?
Yeah. 3 is the magic number.
I love the way you looked at John there when you said 3-point quota,
John
isn't it?
I keep pulling at the lead there every now and again.
Well, that's it. Like, I suppose because there's nerves too, but nerves are good. I suppose you have to have the nerves, don't you, to get through the adrenaline gets you through the gig too, doesn't it?
Yeah, I always find I'm nervous at this point before any gig for a whole host of reasons. First of all, you really want to do the best gig you can do, and it's not guaranteed that you're going to do the best gig you can do. Several factors can come into play and stop you from doing that. But then, you're in a new venue, a new sound man, and you don't know what that's going to be like. You've sound checked all right, but I always find a good sound check, bad gig, bad sound check, good gig. And that particular venue, the music hall, it's a beautiful place, but the stage is a little box.
Yeah, it is.
And so you're sitting up there doing the sound check in your own little bubble with your own monitors, and you can hear vaguely that there's something else going on out in that big room in front of you. So we're waiting for that to fill up. I suspect it's going to be quite nice, but those nerves always hang with me before a gig, that I could do badly. The technics could do badly, and
we could do badly,
and we could just all do badly in general. I'm always afraid that will happen.
And while I take your point, right, and I hear everything you're saying, but when the three of you are mentioned, there's nothing only love for you and everything that you have done. And those two albums, they're just classics already, and you've such a loyal following. What do you think it is about the combination of the three of you and the tunes you've chosen as well, and the way you play, that has created that?
In fairness, the tunes we chose, we made a specific decision about this album, both in terms of production, in terms of the tunes we chose and the arrangements we would make, that it would be true to what we would do if nobody else was listening. So this was never designed as an album to sell. This was never designed as an album to get critical acclaim. This was never designed as an album to have any level of commercial or critical success. It was purely designed as an album to please ourselves. An album of music that we would play if we went into Craic and Carrick and Shannon, or we came in here on a quiet night and there was nobody around. Those are the tunes we'd play. So we met up a couple of times in Carrick. We played through stuff that just suited us, stuff we liked.
Local tunes.
Yeah, local. A lot of local music, and that ended up being the album. We don't play anything, only jigs and reels. We don't play polkas. We don't play hornpipes. We don't play planksies or slow airs.
For the right money.
Yeah, well, we will for the right money. But generally speaking, we don't. So we said, well, why would we be putting exhibition pieces and crowd pleasers on an album that we don't normally do?
I love that, because sometimes, you do get a slow airs thrown in, and it puts the whole thing off balance, and it's there because it's obligatory, and it's not obligatory. You can do the thing whatever way you want to do it. And when you said that's interesting there, Cian, you just threw in local tunes. So we've got a lovely mix here of we've got Roscommon, we've got Leitrim, and we've got Cavan. So are you meeting very close to, or, you know, are you not too far from each other, like in terms of geography?
Well, no, I'm only 10 minutes up the flight, 10 minutes up the road from John. But no, there's great music in Cavan. There really is. There always has been. Where I'm from, Killashandra, lucky there's always been a long history there. Despite what some people might think, but it's.
Come on, this is your chance now, Cian. Come on, you fly the flag for Killashandra.
No, it's very good. Like there's a session going there, 40 years in the town. Ran numerous flags. There's been a number of players have stayed and played in the town. But and John, like a lot of the South Leitrim music as well would have infiltrated into Killashandra, and you know, it's just it really has been a hotbed for music over the years, and we just play the local tunes that's around us, and you know,
there's a natural
tunes and all that.
Yeah, there's a natural border. So South Leitrim is actually east of the Shannon. When you look at it, it's the only part of Connacht that's actually east of the Shannon. And that whole little area that was, I suppose, Breffni, it's the Shannon Erin waterway.
Yeah.
That area has been culturally connected. I would be, even though I live in Leitrim and I'm in Connacht, I would spend most of my time working, socialising, playing music in Cavan and South Ulster. And likewise, Carrick and Shannon. It's right on the Shannon. It's on the east side of the Shannon, but that Shannon is a great connector too. So Dillon isn't far from Carrick and Shannon.
It's halfway a beating point really for us all, isn't it?
That's the common theme. Like, you're a good bit from me, but our common meeting house was Carrick and Shannon. Like, Liam Crine has, like, we've an awful lot to be thankful for Liam Crine and his kind of promotion and support of music in our part of the world. Like, Roscommon, Sligo, Leitrim, Cavan, it was kind of the central hub, and the Joe Mooney Summer School in Drumshanbo. So, like, when Keynes has local tunes, it might not necessarily be tunes that are written or composed or pulled from the area, but they are common session repertoire, and like anything that appeared on our two albums wouldn't be unusual to be heard at the Joe Mooney, to be heard of a Saturday or Thursday night in Crines. There's this kind of collective session repertoire that has built up over the years, and that's kind of what we.
And there's been such a draw to Drumshanbo, and especially like Ulster musicians would always say that Drumshanbo was definitely on the in the diary, big part of the summer. All roads led to it, you know, as big as Milltown, I would say. Drumshanbo,
very, very much about the music, isn't it?
all about the music, Cian. Always. So tell me then a bit about yourself. Was you're beside me here, Dylan? I'll talk to you first. So fiddle.
Yes.
So tell me about learning the fiddle then in Roscommon.
So one of the men that taught me a number of years ago, Enda McGreevy, great fiddle player from Milfin in Roscommon, he said that there's no real fiddle players from Roscommon, they're all fail flute players, which is very funny, but it's very, very true in the sense that it's such a flute heavy part of the world. Like when I was growing up, that my dad, John Carlos, his father was a flute player, John Carlos Senior, but you had Tommy Guihan, John Wynne, Patsy Hanley, all the kind of senior heads of flute playing in the area, they were all playing. And that kind of rhythmic driving style is probably what I kind of like most about music, and I suppose there was a fiddle in the house and I sort of gravitated towards that, or was gently nudged towards lessons when I was a young fella. So I suppose I'm kind of translating the flute music onto the fiddle is probably how I describe my style and my background.
So then growing up then with and playing the fiddle and wanting to play the fiddle, then how easy was that for you? Like, are you living in a community of musicians down there?
Not really. Kind of, we're just that little bit further south. There isn't an awful lot of music in our area, but I would have started off with Paddy Ryan, who's a kind of incredible nurturer and teacher of early music in our part of the world. Paddy put countless children and teenagers through his classes over the years, and kind of flew the flag for music in our area when not a lot of people were, I suppose, and he was kind of the only teacher. And then had a while with John Carty and Mossy Martin and Enda McGreevy. So, you know, the 3 or 4 fiddle kind of players that were in the area, kind of learned off them all, and like they were all pulling from the flute repertoire and kind of the flute sound. And like a session when I was younger, like you had Boland's and Ferrymount, Hanley's and Strokestown, Crines and Carrick and Shannon. They were all flute heavy sessions, so that kind of sound is what I grew up listening to, I suppose.
Yeah, and then I suppose the pairing of the fiddle and the flute, sure, it's the perfect pairing, and particularly from that part of the world as well. So then Cian comes in here now on flute. So tell me then about you picking up the flute and learning it. And is a couple of focal for Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw. A couple of words about our very kind sponsors, Rira Irish Lager. Nish Rira, if you haven't heard about it, it kind of sums up the unpredictable devilment that Irish people are so very good at, particularly here in Maddens, in the heart of Belfast. So Rira celebrates the best bits of being Irish by creating reasons to talk, to meet, to gra, to bant, to hear, to be heard, to be lechela, just that little more often. So music at Maddens, dig it and dig and tossa, agus anish, scoopla fuckle a charja for 18s and over. And please drink responsibly. Couple of focal anish fwy Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw music at Maddens. Music at Maddens is sponsored by McIlroy Guitars. Perfectly balanced, superb craftsmanship, wonderful clarity and tone, a truly unique sound. It's only natural to want one. McIlroyguitars.co.uk for more details.
Yeah, well, I would have been taught the flute by James McGovern from Cavan as well. Porrick, his brother, plays with John as well in Garradice, so there's a bit of a link there as well. But just would have always loved the flute, and sure God, if I wanted to go to a session anywhere in the country, my mother and father would have brought me to it, and as I said, we always had great music there.
Is there music in your family?
There is. My brother plays, my sister plays. My late uncle who died a few months back, he played as well. So,
sorry.
But that's it. But Ted Sweeney, he would have been a great influence on us too. But good music in Killishandra.
So plenty of family sessions then?
Yeah, when we're not fighting.
Well, speaking of fighting now, because the two of you there recently enough won the All Ireland in flute and fiddle. And it's it's just getting to that time of year where the fla's there, it's a focus and all for the youngsters. And I was just thinking to myself, right, so when you've got the eye on the prize, Cian, and you're going in for the All Ireland and you're representing Ulster first and foremost, who did you have to pick off in Ulster to get to win the Ulster title?
You're making it sound like a boxing match or something.
Is it not?
Oh well, I know. I never took it that seriously. I think we were playing the whole week of the Fla in Sligo.
I never saw a boxer going on the tear the night before a match.
No, I kind of rocked up, and if it was good enough to do it, it was good enough to do it. And if not, we never took it too seriously up with us. It was just a bit of crack. But there was great people, and you'd be very friendly with people you would have played it. Like I would have played the whole time against Orla McAuliffe, and sure you couldn't meet a nicer girl in the country.
You're meeting them all summer. You're meeting them at the provincials. You're meeting them at the summer schools. You can't. It's not
like the
enough.
accordion. The accordion people all hate each
that's
other.
rough enough,
The flute people all love each other.
love for the flutes. No, but it's just really funny, when you get to that stage. For some, it's life or death, and it means so much. And then there's other people like yourself, just just do it. If you win, you win. You don't, you don't. And then I was talking to somebody else recently, and they were saying, well, for mummy and daddy, it was always a good focus to get us to practice, just to get us to a wee bit of discipline, I suppose, in your playing as well.
Yeah, I know. Well, I would have been really annoyed if I went to a Fla and didn't get a session. That's what it. If we went home and there was no music, that would have been.
So
really
are you
annoying.
the boy that seeks out the best session? You want to know
what
the best one is?
But I would have been mad when I was younger. I would have been mad to go and learn tunes and listen to people and play with people and play with different people. Not that sure it's great to meet up with the local people, but when you're away at a Fla, you want to meet up with people you haven't met before and learn new tunes. That was kind of the way I kind of worked at it, and know loads of people now from it, I suppose. Met my wife through it as well. So.
Oh, fantastic! And then what about you as well, then, Dan, for the?
Yeah, I was similar to Cian. People do tend to take it too seriously, I think. It was, as you said, it is a great thing, especially when you're under 12, under 15, to have just that focus, maybe when you don't know as many people and there isn't that social context just yet as a teenager for music. It keeps you focused, keeps kind of the eye in, but, you
don't take the medals out to shine them.
Exactly. I wouldn't know harm. And not that I had a whole lot of underage success either. I was lucky to get the one I did. But, yeah, it's great for kids to give them that focus. But I think as you get older, you take it, with your pinch of salt. It's lovely to have it, but it's not to be taken. You have an awful long life ahead of you playing music and meeting people. Our albums and some of the gigs we've done and some of the people we've got to know and now count as friends is far more valuable than any win or any Fla or any competition. it's nice, but it's not the be all and end all, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you look at it that way, it is like just getting the driving license and then away you go and get the car and see where the road takes you, isn't it? Like, and then John, interestingly, you started out playing fiddle.
Yeah.
So who then would you have been drawn to, or whose fiddle playing would you have been drawn to growing up?
Well, it wasn't fiddle playing that attracted me to music. My great-granduncle had played the fiddle, and like so many other families, there was all sorts of, addiction played a big role, alcoholism, and my grandfather, by the time he was rearing his kids, he decided that music was to be outlawed. That he blamed music for the woes of his uncle. So there were no instruments allowed in my father's house, but he loved it. He had a great heart for music, as had my grandfather, in spite of the fact that music wasn't allowed in the house.
But he just made this decision, and that was that.
Yeah, and my grandmother had worked in Philadelphia when she was a child, and she had brought home a gramophone. So the Christmas present every year was they go to Crai's shop in Ballinamore and they'd buy a record for the gramophone. So they listened to music, they loved music, but nobody was allowed to play any music. So my father was involved in politics, and he was away an awful lot, so I would rarely get to see him. And the only way I would get to see him when I was a child was go away with him in the car. So while he was, my memory of my childhood is a car full of cigarette and pipe and cigar smoke, from about, there was about a foot at the bottom of the car you could breathe in. And then just sitting with men discussing big issues, smoking in the car. That was my memory. So there was a Planxty tape under the seat. I found it under the seat of my father's car. And I'm sure at some stage you could... everything was written on it, who it was and all the rest of it, but you couldn't see it. It was so black with dirt and smoke. And I used to listen to that tape over and over and over again. And I just became obsessed with Planxty and the way that Donal and Andy's bazookies would knit through each other, and that complex patterns that they would use as accompaniment for tunes. I absolutely loved it. Then, of course, I discovered that Planxty had other albums, which was amazing. So I got After the Break and The Woman I Love So Well. Matt Malloy was on those. So there was, the tune playing even became a bigger feature. Yeah. And then I went to boarding school in Ballinasloe. And at this stage I was playing the fiddle. My father had bought me a fiddle for Christmas. And I was learning it from tapes, and a piano accordion player, Frank Kelly, who used to put a few tunes on the tape every week for me. So I went to boarding school in Ballinasloe. I was playing the fiddle down there, but I was the only musician out of 700. I was the only musician in the school. And I went down to Salmon's shop in Ballinasloe, and I saw Matt Malloy, Stony Steps, and I was thinking, that's your man of Planxty. And then Donal Lunny was accompanying. I said, have to get this tape. So I got that tape, and I have to say that changed my life, that tape. Stony Steps was such a cool album. But coincidentally, that led me right back to the roots of my area, Roscommon flute player, and it led me to where we are today. And even when we sat down to produce Carlos Sweeney and McCartin, I said to the lads, I'm going for Stony Steps.
That's a picture of it.
Yeah. There's even a picture of Stony Steps on our second album. I said, that's what I'm going for, lads. I want the commitment, the drive, and the honesty of Stony Steps. And so that's what we aimed for.
Commitment, drive, and honesty. Yeah. That's a really kind of solid place to be coming from, John. Like, if you can create that, it really is. It's no wonder then, if that was in your mind and that was the purpose you'd given yourself, that the music has landed so well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was just so coincidental that that path landed me right back at the epicenter of the music of my area, of where I was born and raised. So, while I didn't get it directly initially from the people in my area, it just all came home to roost.
And then when it came home to roost, what does that feel like, that you're now an exponent of this, and now you're bringing this music to other people, to other areas, you're playing it in different places. You know that your music will be heard wherever, thanks to the internet and technology.
But there's a comfort in it. Like, it's people will be asking us about our styles. We're barely aware of our styles, except that it's like your accent.
Yeah.
I'm not really aware of my style, but I know when I'm talking to somebody from home. Together anyway, I think we're probably a good fit in more ways than one. I always find, like, playing with the lads is like getting back into your own bed. It's
Where's this going?
Yeah.
Where's this
I'm
going?
happily married, John.
And I'm meant to be soon.
But there's just a comfort in it. There's a comfort that you can relax, and we have the very same daft, stupid sense of humor about stuff.
If you took the Simpsons references,
Simpsons and Father Ted,
Frasier.
Yeah.
We are like Frasier when you think of it.
Yeah.
The pair of boys are very deep thinkers, and I'd be
And
just
now-
sitting having a pint and.
So now here you are in front of the microphone. So who is Frasier himself? I'm kind of looking at you, John.
That's what Kean says. Niles,
definitely Niles,
Frasier, and
yeah.
Marty. I thought Kean was Eddie the dog.
Eddie's a great character.
Scratching myself all day.
Fucking the go anish o Arahori and Fod Crealta Shaw. A few words now from the sponsors of this podcast, Music at Maddens. Dunville's Irish whiskey, proudly connected to its past and enthusiastically embracing its future. The spirit of Belfast is back, and it's even better than ever. And I should tell you, Dunville's also sponsors Belfast Trad Fest as well. And this Irish whiskey story is one of fame, fortune, tragedy and revival. It does sound epic, doesn't it? Now restored to its rightful place amongst the world's best whiskies, Dunville's award-winning single malt and vintage blend Irish whiskies are synonymous with premium quality, exquisite taste and rich heritage. And for over 18s only, and please drink responsibly. Sláinte. This week's Music at Maddens is brought to you by Anzac Drinks, which is one of the last remaining family-owned businesses in the north, supplying a wide range of spirits and wines and beers and premium exclusive products, proudly supporting local brands and bringing them to bars and restaurants and off licenses, giving them the spotlight they truly deserve. Along with working in partnership with market-leading global brands, they're committed to personal service, competitive pricing and long-term customer relationships. Anzac Drinks are trusted by independent businesses across Northern Ireland for their reliability and expertise, and they are passionate about helping customers discover both retailer favourites and unique finds. Over 18s only, and please drink responsibly. Oh, that's fantastic. But I love that about the drive and the commitment and the honesty. So guitar accompaniment then. The thing about it too is that guitar accompaniment, it can be so subtle but so effective. Yeah. So, were you always trying to emulate Lunny? And I know then Donal Lunny ended up playing on your first album, so that must have been a big moment for you if you were emulating Stony Steps.
Well, I guess when I did decide I wanted to play accompaniment, I couldn't find a bouzouki anywhere, and I got a guitar. So I was listening, obviously, then trying to listen to where will I get guitar playing. But Artie McGlynn being on that Stony Steps album, all of a sudden, like when I listened to McGlynn, I was going, oh my God, that's just so right. That is exactly the way it should be done. And McGlynn's approach too had honesty in it, and
instinct,
honesty, instinct, and that drive as well. But McGlynn had this attitude: the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. No need for any old nonsense in between all of that. And I was very lucky then to get to meet McGlynn a couple of times and to work with Donal Lunny and talk to those guys, which was it is something that will stay with me for the rest of my life, the privilege that it was to exist at a time when those men existed and to get to cross paths with them. But so I kind of ended up sticking with guitar, even though bouzouki is what drew me in, because McGlynn's guitar playing, and then all of a sudden Steve Cooney came, and now there was two of them, two completely different ways. And then there's Donna Hennessy. I remember getting my first Lunas album and hearing Donna Hennessy play, and I said, this is just something new again. And Hennessy is just an absolute animal. He is fully, totally, 100% committed to what he's doing, and I love that. And I wanted that Hennessy sound. I remember coming up the north here to a guitar factory looking to buy a guitar to sound like Hennessy, get the same guitar, and I just sounded like me with Hennessy's guitar. That's
but like you say, you have to stay true to yourself and find your own accent in it as well. Yeah, you say coming up to the north, what I call to looking about buying a guitar, you end up buying the guitar farm. You just decided to buy the whole company.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here now. So is this episode of the podcast, is it sponsored by Avalon Guitars? Is that what's happening here, John?
I was aware when I was sitting down when I saw the cameras. I think you're going to think I did this now I put me drink
down to the company.
It's called hyperliminal marketing. Just clear all the time.
Yeah, that honestly wasn't my intention.
But
no
then,
harm.
with buying a company like that, I know that you're a businessman, and all three of you have got lives away from music as well. You're a teacher, you're an engineer, and you're a businessman. Were you ever, I wondered, whenever you decided, right, I'm going to buy Avalon guitars and I'm going to make something of this, were you ever afraid of mixing the two worlds? Do you know, whenever the music clearly means so much to you, and that honesty is there about it?
They're kind of two different things, both in terms of like the music I listen to is one thing, and the music I enjoy playing is one thing. Then making the tools to do that is a different thing. But what really spurred me on to do that, to buy that company, was I always have this mantra: try and do something that matters and try and do something that's useful. And that I bring that to my playing as well. I was teaching here at Belfast Tradfest all during the week, and people were asking me for loads of fancy things. How do you do this? How do you do that? And I was show them and I say, but don't. Why would you want to? Your job is to make the music the best it can be. Your job is to be useful to the music that's happening at the moment. And all you're doing by doing that particular thing is just proving you can do it. You're not actually improving the music. So when the opportunity came with Avalon, it wasn't just an opportunity, it was a challenge. To me, that was a business that I really admired, and the guys there, I admired what they did, and they had a place within the history of our culture, as far as I was concerned, and there was the prospect that could fail and disappear. So really, there was, to me, somebody had to step up, and I was in a position to step up, and I loved I like the music, obviously, but when I'd be going to sleep at night for years, I've been switching on guys fixing guitars or making guitars on YouTube and just drifting off to sleep watching
joking.
them. Yeah, so it really was a convergence of a number of things that everything was just pointing and screaming at me.
Do you feel like you just hit the jackpot now, do you?
I always feel like I've hit the jackpot. I've always been the luckiest man you could believe. In the family that I have at home, the support I have from my family and my wife at home, the businesses I've found myself in have always been really interesting, really challenging, and been absolutely chaotic explosions of drama, and then gets sorted. And I've always, and another bloody explosion of chaos and drama.
Why do you think this trio works, Dylan?
Mainly The Simpsons is probably the first thing that comes to mind. I think a very kind of consistent common attitude between the three of us to the music we listen to and want to play. Like, I don't want to age John, but he talks about Planxty there. I remember getting the 2004 reunion of Planxty, and like my head exploded. I did not know music could sound like this, and that I had kind of this worship of Donal Lunny for years and years after, and then getting to actually talk to the man and play with him and record him, and it was incredible. But this, like, me and Cian would have a very common kind of back catalogue of tunes and back catalogue of things that we listened to over the years. So John mentioned Donna Hennessy there. I was reared on Lunacy, Shada. I remember the first like 2 albums, and make them again, age them, but Kevin Crawford's In Good Company and Micheál O'Reilly's Nervous Man was the first 2 albums I remember coming into the house when I was 5 or 6, and just that driving, consistent, rhythmic sound, reels and jigs is really what kind of drew me into music. And I remember Dad brought me to see Lunacy in Longford Arms in 2009, and I just remember looking at Sean Smith and Kevin and Killing going, I want to do that, I want to play tunes, just tunes on stage. And like that kind of common attitude and common, I suppose, enjoyment is definitely what Cian has as well, and what John has, and I suppose that's why the whole thing has come together. In terms of like picking tunes for the albums, Cian will fire a tune into the WhatsApp, right, what do we put with that, and then I try and keep a spreadsheet of tunes, and you're like, what's good here, what works, what doesn't work, and eventually a kind of an album comes out. But there's always a consensus, and there's always a common enjoyment of the tunes and of the sets, and that's, I suppose, why it works.
9 times out of 10 we might just say, geez, that's a great track. We mightn't even be thinking on the lines of an album. We could just be saying, geez, that's great, and then we just, something spirals from that, but
throw it into the mix, because I think that's really important to do that. Whenever, as you go along and you hear something, you need to just take the moment, note it, send it on, write it down somewhere that you have it as a point of reference to go back to, because we all just live such busy lives. You'll think, something came into my mind there 6 months ago, but I forget, and then all of a sudden, like you say,
WhatsApp is a gift for that, exactly. And then having John's I suppose, harmonic knowledge and the way he thinks about it. He's kind of thinking of a set in terms of a journey. It sounds a bit over philosophical, but is there a cogent sort of change in chord, like one key to the next, so that we're not just playing 15 tunes in G, you know, that there's actually some kind of sense to it, and he can build a story and build layers on top of that. So I think we all have our own kind of bits and pieces that we bring, and it kind of works, I think.
Dylan and John have referenced people, you know, that they looked up to as players, as guitar players, bouzouki, fiddle players, just general performers. Would you have had heroes like that, Cian?
Well, sure, of course. You know, you'd have Matt Malloy, sure. Christ, I wanted to be like Matt Malloy since I was 7 years of age as I heard the flute, like, you know. But, you know, and it's funny, my father said there'd only ever be one Matt Malloy, and he was right. You know, you have to try and do your own little thing as well. But I always loved listening to Matt Malloy and sure, Liam Kelly, a Dervish, Sean Gilrain, all these, again, local people. And on top of all that, they're just sound people, like, to chat to. We're lucky to call them friends too, like, and play with them regularly. So, you know, they say never meet your heroes, but when you do, it's nice that they're sound people too at the end of the day, you know.
I think that's the lovely thing about this world that we all exist in, that you're dealing with lovely people.
Yeah, you're dealing with decent people.
When you meet your heroes, it's a lovely moment. You mentioned Liam Kelly there. I noticed that there was a clip on YouTube I saw. Was it the launch of your album? And he did a wonderful introduction. But he says, yeah. So John, what's it like to play with the I'll playing with the two young lads? I was waiting for something.
John doesn't look that bad for 25.
We've aged him about 20 years.
Not at all, but it's interesting, you know, where you're saying your points of reference were, you know, these bands and those certain albums you hadn't heard Planksty till the reunion in 2004 yet. There's John saying, you know, the original tape that he found in his daddy's car. You know, it's brilliant through this podcast. You're hearing all the different points of reference from everybody, because everybody's got, we're all different ages, we're all different experiences, and that happens. And it's an enriching thing, I think. So it must be brilliant then whenever you're working with people who are different, slightly different generation. And is that a challenge too, where your new things are being brought to you?
No, it's not, because the big challenge for me is when there's nothing new being brought to me, and I'm trying to find something that's going to be the next step forward for me, either in terms of trying to arrange music or just trying to improve and trying to bring new things to my own arsenal. You know, being stuck in a rut is no good to you. It's great when you meet fellas that just have the same attitude, the same drive, and like, in fairness to Dylan and Cian, when they're operating at a level of excellence that you have a responsibility to try and keep up with and make sure that you're not going to be the one that's going to let the side down. And that goes too for playing. But, you know, there are musicians who are older than me. Liam Kelly is older than me, I'd like to point out now, since he was pointed out. But, you know, but when I get to play, when I get to play with Liam Kelly, and when I get to, you know, Dervish, I remember my first summer job was painting a block of offices. And I have my Sony Sports Walkman on, and I listened to Dervish the whole summer. And in my view, if I could ever get to meet Dervish, that would be a dream fulfilled. If I could meet them and talk to them, it would have been a dream fulfilled. And then I'm heading off to England with them in the morning to do a gig. So, I mean, it's all a pinch yourself moment for me, both playing with the younger musicians. Like during Tradfest here, I've met so many kids in their teens and in their 20s who are listening to our music and want to be in my company, and that's great for me because they are so good. And so it's a new challenge to try and stay as good as those youngsters, and to try and stay. I'll never stay as good as them, but to stay relevant to them.
Yeah,
it's just such a challenge and a privilege.
Oh, jeepers, yeah, staying relevant to youngsters. Yeah. Big challenge.
Yeah, we're on TikTok now.
Who's the best person on TikTok?
I'm not on it.
No, we managed to. Instagram is as far as we go now. Why try and manage that? But no, we're not cool enough.
I was gonna say, Cian, you should just. I'm looking at you. I think you need to start TikTok.
No, Jesus.
Dylan
children in the
socials.
classes.
I'm still reading the Yellow Pages.
See facts.
Yeah.
And then, Cian, as I mentioned, you know, music's not a full-time job for any of you, but I imagine music must come into the classroom in a big way for you, does it?
Oh, it does, definitely. We have a good wee trad group in our school, and it's great for, you know, like, sure, every school in the country you'll have your sporty children and your children is into different things, but the music's great, and it's the cool thing to do, definitely in our school and a lot of schools. But I know it does, and I enjoy it. It keeps me calm too in the class. But no, music. I try and do a good bit of music with the children, and sure, why not? Sure, I like doing it. And they like listening. So.
But that's it, and you're giving them a gift as well. That, like John was saying there, just that gift that you're giving them, the exposure to the music, and you never know where it's going to take them, and that's exciting.
I suppose, yeah. Well, you still have to cover the English, maths, and Irish and all other stuff as well. But I know, you know,
what's 16 bars and 16 bars?
Very good.
I know, but it is. It's good. And listen, the teaching's a good job. The teaching's a good job, and you know, it is really satisfying to see the children enjoying it and going to festivals now and playing music together with them. And us, there's 5 or 6 teachers in our school playing music as well. So it's a bit of crack and a bit of fun. So.
Class. Yeah. And then what about you with the balance with music and work then? Is music just the hobby, the pastime, the solace?
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. I mean, like, I was enjoying my day job and whatever, but this is a great break. And like, we're very, very lucky that we get to come to things like the Belfast Trad Fest and play gigs that people actually want to come and hear us. And it's not a chore, it's not work, it's not anything resembling a job. Like, it's such a nice break to get away, I suppose, from real life. Like, this isn't real life. Like, this is fun. It's fun for us. But yeah, it's like 5 days a week. Like, you get your work done, and then you can have the crack on the weekends. Like, it's great.
And you've got another job, like, but you end up going away with Dervish as well. So you're flat to the mat.
Yeah, and 5 children at home.
Shapers.
And a patient wife.
I was going to say, are you married to a saint?
Yeah, she is a saint now, in fairness to her. Edel definitely picks up a lot of slack. So she's on her way up to Belfast now to the apartment, and I've just had the pleasure before we got on here of telling her that that's somebody parked in her parking space. She'd have to find somewhere else to park, and that I'm bringing Dylan and Lucy home tonight so the twins can sleep on the floor in the living room, and I'm heading to England first thing in the morning, so I won't be here.
John McCartin, you dreamboat.
Yeah. We have found the 3 most patient.
Don't you be taking any notes from him? You're getting married soon.
We have found the 3 most patient women.
We have. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely saints.
My wife plays music as well, so that's a little bit of a.
Right, so she understands. What does she play?
The fiddle.
Fiddle, very good. All right, so there you are. You can practice away at home for the gigs. So just before you go, because I've kept you so long, and you're heading off to the gig, and this has been class. The title of the second album, the one after it. Who came up with that, and how did it happen? Because I just think it is so. One of these things, the difficult second album, what are we going to call it? Sure, the one after it. Is that how it happened?
The working title was, you'd mentioned Frasier there, was Toss Smithics and Scrambled Wings, but that didn't make it to the end.
I thought it was Not These Clowns Again.
The first one didn't have a name.
That's right.
So it was just Carla Sweeney McCartin.
A lot of people thought we were one person too.
Yeah.
That's why we put my name first, because it sounded McCartin.
Somebody told me that he told his mother he was going to see Carla Sweeney McCartin, and she said, yeah, I heard that guy, he's good.
Someone came up to Keane recently and says, are you Carla Sweeney McCartin? Yeah.
But no, they because the first one didn't have a name, and I didn't want then to give the second one. I was kind of thinking, would it be lovely if we could do 2 with no name? Because it's really just all about the music, as I'm always accused of saying.
Accused? It's my ringtone.
So, and I was just thinking, like, tune names. Sometimes people would call an album after a tune that's on the album.
Yes.
And loads of times when people don't have a name for a tune, it's the one after it. We played the Galway Rambler and the one after it. So I was thinking, the one after it. And we don't have a tune called The One After It on the album. But anyway, it's just, that's just how it ended up.
That's how it ended up. Yeah. Love it. But keeping it simple, honest as well. And that's just exactly what you've brought to the table here today in the Snug in Maddens. Thanks so much for taking the time to have the chats today.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.